everybody, good evening and welcome to pre-match build-up here on the Rangers Rabble. I'm not going to lie, folks, I wasn't expecting this to be on. I was expecting the game to be called off, as I'm pretty sure most of us were. So when we got that wee notification at 1 o'clock that the game was on, it was thank God for that. Thank God for that. So hello and welcome. I hope you're all well. And I am joined today by, well, I'm going to go first to Craig, who's been pretty much MIA. Missing in action. Craig, where have you been? And don't blame it on a newborn baby, because that's a terrible excuse.
No, I had a busy few weeks over Christmas and new job, and just life gets in the way. But he's not to blame. He's more to blame for keeping me up at night and sleepless nights, but not for missing the pod. But it's good to be back.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do a wee internal investigation just to make sure that is correct. I don't know how much I'll be able to do, seeing as you're in Plymouth, but I'll absolutely do my best. At least I never said Portsmouth this time. I'll absolutely do my best. Davie, quiz champion, how are you?
I'm good, Martin, but unlike Craig, it's Ross McCrorie coming for crosses that keeps me up at night, but I'm sure we'll get to that as the rest of the pod goes on.
That should not be a problem today. I absolutely hope not. Socrates, what channel is the game on? I believe it's on Viaplay, and it's also on Rangers TV as well. So depending on what your preference is, I haven't switched on Viaplay yet, but I would probably imagine Michael Stewart's doing it. And if Michael Stewart's doing it, then that's enough to put anybody off watching. Nobody wants to watch that ginger rodent. I would imagine. I would absolutely imagine. Okay, team lineup for today is Robbie McCrorie in goals, a back four of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter, and Ridvan Yilmaz. A midfield three of John Lundstrom, Nicholas Raskin, and Todd Cantwell. And a front three of Ross McCausland, Rabbi Matondo, and Cyril Dessers. Before I get your guys' thoughts on that, I'll let you collate. I've got one of those calendar dictionary things. I'll let you have a wee thought about your starting lineup. But firstly, and I've never done this straight off the bat, we're going to hear from Ross McCausland and his thoughts on today's game.
Ross, it's the start of the Scottish Cup today. What's the mood like in the squad ahead of this one?
Yeah, we're all buzzing, obviously coming off the back of getting our first trophy, all the boys are just eager to get another bit of silverware, and today it starts.
What has the message been from the manager heading into this one? I guess the opponent's somewhat unknown to the squad and a few leagues down.
Yeah, I think obviously, the opponents are unknown, but, we're going into this game no different to how we go into other games. We just want to play our own game and win.
For you, you're coming back here, you're obviously familiar with you for the B team. Does that help you coming into a game like this?
Yeah, definitely. I think it does, yeah. Obviously there's so much you can do. So I think coming into this game, obviously playing here loads of times and having experience for nearly 2 years worth of experience, hopefully I can bring some experience to the game today and help the boys.
It is the first competitive game back after the break. What was that break like for you and for the squad?
I think the break was really good. I think it's something you need to sort of switch off from, even though ultimately you're probably not switching off, but switching off a wee bit from just football. And then obviously coming off the training camp, it was good to just get a bit of different training that we're not used to, because obviously we play so much games, and then the two friendlies and coming into this and ready for the next game.
For the squad, how do you impose your own game today?
Yeah, I think just playing our own game, taking the conditions out of the game, because we don't want to have any excuses, we want to just play our own game and hopefully come out with the win.
Hopefully, definitely 100%, Davey, come out with the win. There's no other option. It's win or win or win. We are playing a League Two side. There's no excuses for us. We could have went out there with the full B team and we should probably still beat Dumbarton.
Absolutely, Martin. I think if you take the two sort of mid-season break games that we had there, I think we're looking for a response for the players as well. So a clean sheet in that respect, I think, is important as well. We've been shipping goals from set pieces, cross balls, maybe for the best part of 3 years, to be honest, but especially in the last sort of 6 to 7 weeks. And I think it's an area of the pitch that we were hoping that the winter break would see us fix. So Dumbarton will be playing for set pieces today, and whilst I don't expect them to cause us any major problems, I think that's the one area that I'm keen to see, especially with McCrorie in goals and Suter as the left centre half. Always John Souttar, left-sided, he's likely to, be suspect because he's not playing in his natural side. I think there's a better balance when it's Goldson and Balogun. So if they're going to cause us any problems, that's the area of the pitch that I expect it.
Cup games are cup games, Craig. Right? They can throw up the most fascinating results. I believe the last time I checked, I think Partick Thistle were humping Ross County. Who was it? Spartans took Hearts all the way. Hearts scoring in the last minutes. I think Clyde done quite well yesterday. So the cup's a cup, right? Anything can happen. But not when you're Rangers and not when you're playing Dumbarton, a League Two.
No, they're going to be well up for it, as you'd expect. Being at home, and for them it's a free hit. If we turn up and play even 70% of what we're capable of, we should be coming away with an easy win. There should be no real excuses. The pitch, the conditions, these boys are professional footballers. They should be able to cope on pitches that aren't as pristine as they used to. I mean, they play on Hampden quite a lot, so they should be used to pitches that aren't necessarily pristine. But yeah, should be a easy win back across to Glasgow with no injuries and move on to Wednesday.
I mean, yeah, and Chris Stewart in the comments here, Airdrie are beating St Johnstone as well. So yeah, cup shocks happen. And of course, we've had a couple in the past. But Davey, onto the starting lineup then, and I'll just do it really very quickly because I've already read it out. McCrorie, Tav, Goldson, Souttar, Ridvan, Lundstrom, Raskin, Cantwell, McCausland, Matondo, and Dessers. Yes, we have injuries, so rotation probably, wasn't massively on the cards. But however, that's a strong team.
It is a strong team, and I think just before we became live on air, Craig made a great point in the sense that
What? Craig made a great point.
It's not really the type of game that's going to suit Fabio Silva. There's going to be a lack of space. It's going to be a condensed pitch. We're not going to really be able to play the ball in behind. They're going to sit deep. So Dessers playing the ball up to him, looking to play off him, trying to get him involved and play as much as we can. And perhaps at the same time building his confidence, because at the moment there's a lack of signings coming in, so we've only got the tools that we have at the moment, and we've got to sort of work with that going forward. So if we can boost our players' confidence, get them a couple of goals or something today, you never know. You always hope that players will kick on from that. I'm also interested to see Raskin and Cantwell. The second half of last season, they were our big players in all the real games that didn't really matter in the sense. And you're kind of hoping that they're going to kick into some form. And we've seen patches from both, but we've never really seen a consistent run. And obviously, Raskin's been hampered with injuries this season, but Cantwell's flattered to deceive, far too often. So this has got to be the type of game where they've got to look to get onto the ball, dominate the ball as much as possible, and show us what they're capable of, because this should be the type of game that could be over in half an hour.
Yeah.
Why not just go and express themselves and look to get as many as off the pitch and rested for Wednesday by going to win it as quick as we can?
Can I just go off on a wee bit of a tangent just for 2 minutes? Right, I promise. I know I've got a habit of going and talking about something that's got no relevance to the game at all. Something came up on my phone as I was scrolling through social media. Does anybody know what an idiot's called in Nigeria? No? If none of you seen this, you're going to like it. No idea. A singular idiot. So if I was just to call Davey an idiot, I would call him a Dundee. So if that's what a singular idiot's called, what do you think a group of idiots is? And this is true, this is fact, by the way. Craig, what do you think a group of idiots is called in Nigeria?
I'm going to say Dundee United.
Dundee United is what a group of idiots is called in Nigeria. How good is that, by the way?
I think you'll be sharing that one with your family, Martin.
I don't care. I messaged them straight away. And he went, I know, I've seen it. I went, well, you're definitely a Dundee United, by the way. It's so good. Absolutely so good. Quite a lot of comments, Craig, coming in about Ridvan Yilmaz. That's him. He's starting again. Does that mean that he's definitely staying? I don't know if he's definitely staying. I don't know if any player's definitely staying. The manager said it in his press conference. Look, every day is different. You can be 100% sure of something on the Monday, and then on the Tuesday, they're flying off to go and sign with another football club. What it tells me is, from the manager's comments, is regardless of what's happening with Yilmaz, he's 100% committed.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it could be that, like you say, he could be off next week. It could be the mystery around Barisic not playing before Christmas and being not really involved in the friendlies. It could be that Yilmaz is just playing to get him into a move. But I would hope that while he is still here until the minute he signs for another club or the end of January and he's still here, that he is 100% committed. And I do get that impression from him. He doesn't seem like the sort of player that's going to throw his toys out the pram in public anyway. Maybe he's doing it in private with the manager. But when he's playing, he's certainly doing his all.
I think if there was, if Davie, if Yilmaz was in the manager's office saying, "I want to leave," Barisic starts. I honestly think it's as simple as that.
Well, I'll play devil's advocate like you normally do, in the sense, Martin, that maybe Clement likes that sort of thing. Fight fire in somebody's belly, looking for a game, looking to perform. Clement always speaks in every press conference that he's a winner and he wants winners in his squad. So if somebody's demanding to play and somebody's looking to perform and somebody has an end goal as in, get in their country's squad for the Euros and win prizes with us, then, Clement might feed off that. Barisic, to me, is somebody that's just been sort of skating on thin ice now for the last sort of 18 months. And Ridvan's got a great chance, to stake a claim, because the fans aren't really having Barisic. He's had his moments and he's far too often conceded a repetitive goal in the same game for the best part of 3 years now. And we're just...
Sorry, David, just on that very point, right, about maybe some or a lot of the fans not having Barisic anymore, right? And also to add into the question that I said about if Yilmaz is committed, otherwise he wouldn't be playing. Are you surprised then that the managers chose to play him in Dumbarton when we've got Hibs on Wednesday?
It's a fair comment, but then he's maybe looking to go with a bit of consistency. Why drop Ridvan and send the wrong message out? If he is his number one, why not play the majority of your number one players? The only disappointment for me today is...
But then why not play Butland? Why not play Silva?
That's what I was coming on to that in regards to. I would have played Butland today. I think, as I've already touched on, that the Silva point is just the pitch and the type of game that's going to be. Why hinder the boys' confidence when you're looking to build it? When the game becomes more open and stretched, then the last thing Dumbarton's going to want, if they're potentially 3-4 down, is Silva coming on looking hungry for a goal and eager to impress. So I think that's the sort of psychology Clement's thinking, or at least how I see it.
I don't know where I got this from, Craig. I think it was Scott Kerr that put it in my head that Balogun was suspended. I believe that's what he said to me. And if this game was called off, then he would be suspended for Wednesday. Leon Balogun's on the bench. So
my understanding was he was suspended for Wednesday because it's league games. So
it's nothing to do with the cup. So are you surprised then? And I say this, and I know what people are going to say to me right back in the comments. Martin, it's Dumbarton. It doesn't matter who starts. Are you surprised then that with John Souttar's injury record, that he comes in and plays today and Balogun's on the bench?
Not particularly, because I think
it's a horrible pitch. Let's not beat about the bush. It's a terrible pitch.
But I think Souttar has to play Wednesday, so I would rather he have some form of football.
So you'd have Souttar in before you'd have Balogun in the team. Oh, Balogun, yeah.
With the fact that Balogun's out Wednesday, yes.
Answer my own question.
Just to add in there, I'm pretty sure Connor Goldson's suspended for Wednesday with his yellow card.
Yeah, they're both suspended. Which Goldson said was his own fault, which was stating the bleeding obvious, getting all these yellow cards. So I'm happy that Souttar's in, because I would rather he have some. I would imagine 45 minutes today. We'll see how the game is, and then Balogun might come on second half and give Souttar a bit of time away, and then Souttar will play the whole game on Wednesday.
Right, well, I've not seen anything about Leon King. Maybe I've just completely missed it, because I must have been quite busy. I've not seen anything about King picking up an injury or not being available for selection. He's not even on the bench.
No, I haven't seen anything.
So with that, maybe he is, and maybe somebody in the comments will say, Martin, you're supposed to host a Rangers podcast. How do you not know this, right? And that's fair enough if I don't know it. Say we play John Souttar today. Well, we are playing John Souttar. on that horrible pitch, John Souttar picks up a knock, which of course I hope he doesn't. But if he does, who starts on Wednesday?
Well, it'd be Leon King, and if it's not Ben Davies, who doesn't appear to be back from injury at the minute, it's going to have to be a King Lundstrom combination.
So so Davey, with that said, then I get the argument that he needs the minutes sort of before Wednesday, but is the risk worth the reward?
The
in terms
manager,
of-
the
in terms of
manager,
injury?
the manager must think that he needs it. And I know that a sort of journalist at the press conference posed a similar question to him yesterday in regards to, are you worried that you play certain players with the injury sort of run that we're on, and he said he doesn't like to think about these things, and whilst we will consider them, I think Clement's just going with what he's got in mind to this game and the next game, take one at a time, try and build momentum, and just take it step by step. There's obviously factors that we will need to consider, and our history with injuries, last 2 seasons is up there with one of the worst I've seen for any club. And John Souttar himself is a guy that's been much maligned with him, but I think Clement must have enough trust and seen enough to think that he's going to get away with it in a game like this today. I think he's going to think that we're not going to be under too much pressure, certainly off the ball. So I can only think that's the methodology there.
And also, just a quick tangent as well, Craig, to say congratulations to the Rangers ladies who beat Celtic yesterday in the League Cup semi-final, the Sky Sports Cup semi-final. And for what I've seen and for the highlights that I've seen, it was close in terms of the result, but it wasn't close in terms of the performance. Just very quickly, I thought that the Rangers women were fantastic.
Yeah, I saw the end of it. They overcome probably one of the worst referee decisions I've seen in years, to give a penalty with a minute to go. And I think maybe the referee might have had that in mind when he gives the one to Rangers, that he's made a bit
no conspiracies on this show, Craig. There is no conspiracies on this show.
But no, they did really well. I listened to the interview from Jo Potter, and she said like she was getting herself geared up for extra time, but it shows the mentality that the players have got to push on and get that winner before the end of the game.
Yeah, it was. I must admit, it was absolutely fantastic. Davey, you spoke. I think it was you that mentioned him briefly. Raskin back in the team today. Raskin and Cantwell, to be fair, I don't think even before the injuries were showing the form that they had showed when they first came in. Just really good to see Raskin back in the team. Again, no, not long back for injury. And I know this is probably going to be the most used word on this podcast today, but that pitch just terrifies me.
Well, Clement said yesterday that he doesn't expect any good football to be played today. So that's kind of, sending the message for us not to expect too much from the players. But Raskin is somebody for me that when he's on the ball, especially in the sort of final third of the pitch, makes things happen. The further advanced he is carrying with it or releasing, clever passes on the edge of the box, looking to play in behind, looking to pinpoint the striker, play off him, release the ball. That's the kind of best they're asking that you see. I don't like when he's deep and he's beside Lundstrom. I don't think that benefits us. We don't need that, especially not a place like Dumbarton. John Lundstrom can come and handle the ball and pick it off the centre halves, and then you release it to Raskin and let us move on from there. So I'm intrigued to see, how we'll perform, today, but obviously going forward, second half of the season, you'd like to think with Clement being a fellow countryman, he's going to get the best out of him. He's going to know what makes him tick. He's going to know the type of football, that we can play, because we don't have too many sellable assets, and we're not going to have a sellable asset unless we maximise these players to their full potential. So I'm kind of hoping that Clement's going to get the best out of him going forward.
So what is the role then, Craig, today for Raskin? Is it going to be get forward as much as possible? Is he going to be the one protecting the defence, or is that going to be Lundstrom?
No, it'd be Lundstrom. I think he's the one that's going to connect the sort of back five players to the front three or four. It'll be a big job for Raskin today. He needs to be a bit more forward thinking, and leave the defensive legwork to Lundstrom, because that's what he's been pretty good at the last few weeks. It'd be interesting to see how Raskin gets on, because I think hopefully he'll have a big part to play in the second half of the season.
I think what you'll probably find, the word you were looking for, Craig, there is Raskin will be more of a Masala.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you agree? Do you agree, Davie?
I don't get it.
You don't know what a Masala is? Do you not play Football Manager?
Oh, I thought you said Masala. Oh.
Jesus. No,
Yeah, chicken tikka.
no, I said Masala.
That's how I was saying I don't get it. Sorry, my apologies.
Playing more in that role where he drifts out wide a bit more, Davie, to help. He helped McCausland and stuff like that. Just pretend you know what I'm talking about and carry on the conversation.
I still think I'll just say aye, but I would prefer him as a CAM.
No, see, that's not even good enough. I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that. I mentioned McCausland, David, so let's talk about McCausland. He knows this pitch better than any one of those Rangers players. I watched a lot of the games there last season for the B team, so that can only help. And it's good that he's getting more minutes.
Absolutely, Martin. I think that what I've noticed in the last sort of few games is the defensive side of his game has come on, because that's the one area of the pitch in which he was struggling with. So a game like this today, he shouldn't be doing too much work going back the way, but you like to think this is where he's going to shine. Again, we're looking to build his confidence. I still on the fence as to whether he's good enough to be a starter for us week in, week out, but he's the man with the jersey at the moment, and if he keeps performing, he'll keep it. So, I'd like to see him have more goal involvements. The one area that I would criticise his play is when he beats the man, look up and make the pass. Don't just hit the pass first time. There's so many times in the last sort of 4 or 5 games where he's had the option.
Where he's had the what, Craig? Do you want to finish off Davie's thoughts there?
I would imagine it was the option to not go for goal or to play someone else in, and he's not. He's back. He's back.
I was just saying that was just the one area in which I'd like him to improve when he makes the cut back. Lift the head, pick up the pass instead of just first timing it.
And look, again, I'm going to mention it, and I don't care. The pitch. Is it going to be more difficult, Craig, for Ross to do what he can do on this pitch, even though he's so used to
it? Possibly. I think that'll be a big thing for him and Matondo. Will be the what they can do on the ball, because they're not going to be able to necessarily get the ball, knock it past the defender and run onto it, because the ball's likely to bobble around everywhere. But it's probably the sort of game where we can put the ball over the top for those two, because they're going to have pace to burn.
And finally, just on the team, Matondo speaks for himself. He's got pace, he can finish, and kind of the same conversation as what we had with McCausland, Craig. Up top, Cyril Dessers. Is this the day that we see the man put 4 or 5 past the goalkeeper, and then he goes in the rest of the season and becomes the league's top goal scorer, and we sell him next season for 25 million? Or do I need to wake up?
We can live in hope. We can always live in hope. I just think, like I said before the pod, it's a sort of game where it's probably more suited for him than somebody like Silva. Obviously, we haven't really got any other option apart from him and Silva. I think he's going to be quite key to if he can put himself about a bit and do what we brought him in to do, then it will hopefully give Matondo and McCausland and Campbell something to take off.
What do you think, Davie? The Rangers pulled up to the stadium tonight and the players got off the coach and they're walking through that wee tiny bit into the dressing rooms and they come out onto the pitch. What's Fabio Silva thinking about his move to Rangers when he sees all that at Dumbarton?
Can Wolves still recall me? Because, that's the thing with, foreign players and maybe guys that have got a history playing in Premier League or Premier European competitions. It will be an eye-opener. However, you've got to hope that some relish the challenge, because this is the start of a journey for us, potentially winning a treble this year, and we've got to talk up our chances of doing it. We're the only team in Scotland that can, and whilst we're chasing them down in the league with 2 games in hand, we've got to be looking at this competition and getting to the final and having no hiccups along the way, and it starts here tonight.
I think you'll find we're the only team in Scotland who can still do the quadruple, Davie. Which is, I think, where you should go.
Silver's probably played at some of those sort of grounds and playing for Wolves in the Cup, to be fair.
I don't think he's probably played at a ground as poor as Dumbarton's.
No. But he's probably played at some lower level English teams. So
do you think it matters how the game's going, Craig? Whether he'll see any minutes or not, or do you think, regardless of how it's going, just to try and build with a team, get the symmetry going, that we'll see Silver tonight, regardless?
I think he'll get at least half an hour. I think he'll come on for Dessers with at least half an hour to go. I mean, if we're 3 or 4 up at half time, then I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the second half. But definitely at least half an hour just to get some minutes in his legs.
Do you think Dessers?
I think he could play. He could play on Wednesday.
I think it's nailed down that he plays on Wednesday. But David, do you think Dessers will be on the park until he scores? Because if we're talking about bringing Silver on for 30 minutes and we're talking about playing him up front, which I still don't think is his position, but if that's what we're talking, does he come on if Dessers hasn't scored? Does the manager keep Dessers on for as long as possible?
No, I think it depends on the scoreline, Martin. I think ideally he's maybe not want to use Silva much more than, as Craig alluded to, half an hour, maybe 20 minutes at, the best part. If Dessers is involved in the play and we've scored, I don't think it matters whether Dessers scored or not. Probably matters more to Dessers for his own confidence. This is the type of game that should be causing him no problems, but you know what he's like. He's either going to score an absolute world of the day, or he's going to be getting pelters for everybody on social media. That's just kind of the type of game that he has. He's either, all in with endeavour and just nothing comes off for him, or sometimes he produces, bits of quality that shock us all.
Right, so in terms of the bench, then, Craig, Butland, Silva, Jack, Lawrence, Wright, Balogun, Barisic, Devine, and Bailey Rice. Normally, around about this time, I would be saying to you, if it's not going well, if we're struggling, if we're looking to change the flow of the game, how does the bench look to you? Who do we bring on? I'm not going to ask that, Craig. What I'm going to say is, in the second half, when we are 3, 4 or 5-0 up, who do you think the manager's going to go to? For me, anyway, for what it's worth, I think I would like to see Devine get some minutes. I would like to see Tom Lawrence get on and get some minutes, even though that's contradicting my point about the pitch. But however, I would like to see, very much so, Bailey Rice get on the park and get some minutes. Again, because a bit like Ross, he knows this pitch.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look on my phone now. The bench for me, the 5. If we're going to make the 5 subs, it's going to be Silva, Jack, Lawrence, Devine, and Rice. I don't think Jack touches this pitch. I'd like to see him get something, at least a few minutes at the end, just to sort of get back in. I don't think it's going to do him any good not playing any part. For me, the thing with Silva as well, where you were chatting about it, there's not necessarily does he have to come on for Dessers. He can come on for Matondo, Cantwell, or McCrorie. He can come on for any of the 4 up front. So for me, he's one that definitely has to come on. And I agree with Devine and Rice. I think they need to get some minutes because there's no point in them travelling on these sort of games and just sitting on the bench. Is it 3 subs or 5?
It's 3 breaks of substitutions, but a total of 5 subs.
Scottish Cups. I mean, I really should know all this, right? But that's what I've got you guys for. Right. By the way, just to talk about what we spoke about earlier about being on Viaplay, if you've been watching for the start, I can confirm that Michael Stewart is a Dundee United. I'm going to confirm that right here, right now. Right, we're not doing all the predictions and stuff like that, right? Because we should know what's going to happen throughout this game. We'll be back for reaction. But before we go, I'm going to have this conversation. And I don't want anybody in the comments shouting at me because they were all talking about it earlier. Davie, Hearts were playing today against Spartans. So you would expect rotation in your team, wouldn't you? You would expect there to be some players maybe not getting some minutes. Lawrence Shankland, it was reported that he had a wee sore tummy. He wasn't feeling too well, therefore he wouldn't be in the squad. Remember all the years ago there was a programme on the TV called Chewing the Fat? Do you remember that? Remember Chewing the Fat? And there was a sketch where there was a woman who would sniff the air. And what would she say, Davie?
She would say, smell shite.
Do we smell shite here, Davie?
Well, the only thing I'll say on it is maybe Naismith thought he could get by the game without him, and it depreciates Shankland's value if he's cup tied for Scottish Cup competitions. So if he was, just for talk's sake, to be sold to either of the two big clubs in this league, then his transfer...
I don't think Partick Thistle can afford him.
Well, his transfer value would certainly depreciate, and I think Hearts are holding out for top buck, and they don't want anything to come between that. So if he's gone for maximum price, and I think it's more to do with that than perhaps where he's going at the moment.
Craig, is it just a case of he's not been feeling well and he wouldn't have played anyway because they were playing Spartans? Or do we do what we do, and do we read into it and maybe do 2 + 2 and get 4, or maybe do 2 + 2 and get 22?
I think it's more that one. We do tend to jump to conclusions. For me, when I saw it,
Aaron, and reports I've read as well, Craig, he has rejected, or he's going to reject the contract offer from Hearts.
Yeah, I believe that the phrase I saw was the minimal wage increase was touted. I agree with Davie. I think that if he plays today and he is rejecting the contract offer and they're looking to get him out the door in January, it does certainly depreciate his value if he's not able to play in certain games. But we shall see. We shall see what happens over the next 10 days or so. But I did find it very, very convenient that he was not even in the squad.
Yeah, I suppose I don't know how much we can really read into it, but it's a Rangers podcast, so you need something to talk about. So therefore, that pops up and you talk about it. Right, folks. Just 12, 13 minutes to go until kickoff. If you don't want to watch Viaplay and you want to watch Rangers TV, there's still time to catch a flight to go to whatever country you want, most countries included. Favourite destinations are Germany. Some people like to go to France. Some people, I think, the Isle of Man as well. I think that works. Then you can catch that flight using NordVPN, which is also a sponsor of this show. Go down in the description, click on the link, and if it's something that you like and you want to sign up and you use that link, then you help to support the podcast. And of course, we're also sponsored by Football Prizes. Somebody who watched the show won a signed Paul Gascoigne top, I believe. So there you go. So you can win very, very good prizes on it. There's also a link for that in the description. And of course, if you help to support us by helping to support them, then you help to support us again, if that makes any sense. Wish you'd go to France sometimes with these shite puns, Martin. Do you know what? You're probably right, Ross. I'm not quite as good as you, but I will learn. And I will get better. We'll be back for full reaction after the game. Myself, Craig, Davie, and I believe Scott Kerr also. He's on the reaction as well. And we'll discuss the game in fuller detail. And if you just want to talk about anything else, get it in the comments. And we shall certainly bring it up in the reaction, because there might be not a lot to talk about. There might be, and you guys keep us going. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll speak to you shortly after the full time whistle.